In your design pack, you should have a sheet of images that represent your theme, some tracing paper, a symmetry mirror, which we'll talk about in a bit, and some white paper. To help you create a unique symmetrical motif, you've been provided with a symmetry mirror, which you can use on your images to look for and identify interesting symmetrical shapes that you might use in your motif. So straight away, I like the look of this double-headed snail shape. So all I need to do is take my tracing paper, line the edge up against the mirror, and trace through just the lines and the edges of this snail. And when my motif is complete, I will be flipping it over and you will be able to see how this will turn into a symmetrical motif design. Okay, and now I'm going to look for another shape that I can use to add to my motif design to layer it up and come up with a more complex design. So I could just stop at the double snail, but I don't think that is interesting and involved enough. So I'm going to use this image of the wings here. I've lined up my tracing paper and I'm just going to trace the outside of the lines and the edges that don't overlap the snail. So I'm layering up these double images to create this symmetrical motif. Okay, and I've decided to add just one more layer to my design here. I found another set of wings, which is nice. I would recommend using 3 different images to create your composite, your complex symmetrical motif. And although I've used 3 different images here, you don't need to use 3 different images. You can repeat the same image. If you wanted to take that snail and flip it and repeat it in different directions, you could create a motif that way as well. Okay, and now I'm ready to transfer my motif to my white paper and see what this looks like as a symmetrical motif design. So what I need to do is line up my tracing paper with the edges of the white paper itself, but you need to make sure that your pencil marks are facing down, because when you're tracing through, you're pushing the graphite on the tracing paper onto the white paper. So you can tell the difference by looking closely. Your pencil marks will be much darker and a little bit shiny, and the other side, you can see the marks are much lighter. So make sure your pencil marks are facing down. Line up the edges of the tracing paper with the edges of the white paper. As you're tracing through, you need to go over the lines, make sure you're staying on the lines. I'm testing it here to make sure it's coming through. Stay on the lines, and I would use not a mechanical pencil for this because they tend to be a bit too thin and sharp. So you want to go for more of a traditional pencil. And press nice and hard so that you're pushing the graphite onto the paper, and your design should come through. It's very light, so I'm going to go over the lines and trace it back through. Finally, the last step is to flip your tracing paper over, line it up so you can see your symmetrical motif design, and trace it through once again. And at this stage, you should already have pencil marks on the reverse side facing the white paper. Okay, so here is my completed motif. I'm just going to label it Motif 1, and this took me around 20 minutes to complete.